Breathing the dust caused by grinding, chipping, or cutting on concrete can be hazardous to your health because of the presence of crystalline silica in this dust. The following movie will provide you with a brief introduction to the most common methods of reducing exposure to crystalline silica. The two most effective methods of control are presented here and include wet methods to suppress the dust and local exhaust ventilation to capture and remove the dust. Chipping hammers are often used to remove hardened concrete. Exposures during this chipping can become elevated and may exceed 10 times the OSHA permissible exposure limit, or OSHA PEL. This is particularly true if the workspace is constricted and natural ventilation is absent. The removal of surface imperfections using an angle grinder may also cause exposures to exceed 10 times the OSHA PEL. This exposure may be especially hazardous because the worker's breathing zone must remain close to the grinding activity. Abrasive sawing of concrete generates some of the highest exposures to silica dust, and these exposures can exceed 60 times the OSHA PEL. At this level of exposure, a dust mask respirator will not provide sufficient protection. The most effective means to reduce a worker's exposure to silica is to use water to suppress the dust while cutting, grinding, or chipping. If the work position is stationary, such as at a concrete block saw, a water line may be directly connected to the tool. Where access to water from plumbing pipes is not practical, a small electric pump can be used to provide the small amount of water needed for dust suppression. When the saw must be portable and a water connection is not feasible to the tool, an assistant may be required to apply water from a spray nozzle. Under certain conditions, it is not practical or safe to use water to suppress dust. In these cases, tools equipped with local exhaust ventilation are a second means to achieve control of the dust exposures. While generally not as effective as water, use of ventilation can reduce silica exposures substantially. Many tools not originally designed for dust control can be retrofitted with hoods and tubing so that an industrial vacuum can be used to collect the dust. Again, for portable tools where ducting is not feasible, or simply as an alternative to a capture hood, an assistant with a vacuum hose can be used. Use of water suppression or local exhaust ventilation will typically reduce silica exposures substantially. However, these controls will not eliminate the hazardous exposure completely, and it is always recommended that respiratory protection be worn when cutting, grinding, or chipping on concrete.